Tinfoil hat.
Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know I'm here to do. I'm here to join me as always, Xavier Guerrero, and on the ones and twos, Juicy Johnny, J Nice, Johnny Woodard, the best. Hey guys, fun episode with you. We got returning champion from Forbidden Knowledge News, Chris Matthews. He came on, dropped the hammer. He had a great conversation about all of the dark, just the occult craziness of Louisiana, which I'm excited about because I am going to Louisiana in a month. So it's good to know that you have Bigfoot, Dogman.
Scary? Aren't you a little scared?
Smoke people.
Smoke people, yeah, jockeys that are just sneaking in your house.
Tiny jockeys. Tiny jockeys coming in your house with weird technology.
Well, you know, jockey's kind of a part-time job, really. You know what I mean? You're racing.
Yeah, what are they doing when they're not racing?
Free time? So you got to sneak in. You get paid to sneak into people's houses.
Okay, so then when they're not tiny people riding big horses, they're haunting houses. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Fun facts by Juicy Johnny.
That is true.
Yeah. So guys, listen. I'm doing some gigs. I'm coming. Depending on the day. You can catch me. Today I feel really good about stand-up, and I'm coming to Reno. By the way, did a little coming out today. I did Reno radio. Both of them messed my name up.
What they call
it's
you?
Sam Tripoli, everybody.
How do you mess up?
And I just
Tripoli?
run with it.
Like one of the famous.
My
famous
name's
cities.
Sam Tripoli, and I'm here to have a good time. And I just went off.
Well, who doesn't know how to say Tripoli? I mean, it's a big major city in the world.
Because this one guy's like, oh, I forget what he has a name, and it's from a song, and he goes like, oh, I've never heard that before. I'm like, okay, guy who just messed up my name. Thank you. I'm sorry, I've never heard of you before. Like, the only reason I don't burn everything to the ground is because I'm respecting the person who's brought me out. Like, I'm a weird punk rock like that guy. Like, I don't play by rules except for house rules.
Do you think radio even works?
No.
I was about to say, you're not doing their morning show, right?
No, they're putting me on like... anyways, I don't want to complain, but the point was it was very funny. What was the... Blinded by... No, that wasn't it. Revved up like... No, I forget what the song was. But anyways, go to samtribute.com. Reno, show up. Watch Daddy Hammer, people. Reno, I'm there May 4th through the 6th. I'm doing 4 shows. Come get weird. And then we got we got the Comedy Chaos 2 shows. May 9th, we got 8 p.m. and 10:30. All of them are fucking murder shows. I'm very excited about both of them. Look at that. Bang. Look at that. Matt Rife, Mark Maron, Dane Cook, Laura Betts, Tony Rock. Everybody's killers. And then the next show is just a bunch of fun weirdos, okay? Eddie Bravo, Brittany Furlong, Jeff Dye, Willie Barcena, Quindale, Xavier Guerrero will be jumping up.
Oh, shit.
Go do some
Let's
time.
do it.
Tell your friends. Spread the word. Get weird. That's how we're going to go. Then I'm in Jacksonville, Mississippi. Down Baton Rouge.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, you're right. Jackson, Mississippi on June 2nd. And then June 3rd, I'm at Baton Rouge. And then the following week, I'm in San Diego. I want to shoot my special at the end of the month. I just got to find the right place. That's all I got to do. I just got to find the right
What is it
place.
you're looking for?
I don't know, man. Dana's mad because I'm doing a small room again. She wants me to do a big room, and I don't want to do a big room. I want to do a small room. I like small rooms. I don't think you're either going to do like Madison Square Garden or you're just doing another room. That's my opinion. I don't think the room matters, but I don't like specials in big rooms. I just think the energy's off. People are watching at home on their couch. Let them have small room energy. bang, bang, pow.
I mean, the Viper Room had that right energy.
Yeah, I totally forgot about how badass the Viper Room was. I've been clipping it, and the jokes are really good, even though Instagram will not let you see them. Go to Sam Tripoli on Instagram. A lot of great stuff going on. Comedy Chaos. So Comedy Chaos. And then go to Rockfin for all my premium content. 5 shows involving me or somebody on the show. We Don't Smoke the Same, First Look, Broken Sim, Tinfoil Hat, Zero, and one of the greatest shows of all time, Conspiracy Social Club. I mean, I am just putting this guy in the corner.
I saw him take an L.
I'm putting Baby in the corner. And Conspiracy Social Club was the top shows on Rockfin, so go check that out. And then all my free content's there. And you'll be at the end of the show, you hear about all of our affiliates. We're about to add a couple more. I've just been really busy, but this weekend I'll be able to do it. We're going to add some more affiliates. Anything else, guys?
Nah, that's it. Check out Broken Simulation. Probably will be out tomorrow, depending on when you hear this.
All right. Enjoy the show with Chris Matthews.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink.
Okay, guys, let's get into it. Very excited. Very excited to have this next guest on. He has a wonderful podcast called Forbidden Knowledge News, excuse me. Please welcome back returning champion Chris Matthews. How are you, Chris?
Hey, Sam. Thanks so much for having me back on. Been looking forward to this.
Well, we're looking forward to having you on. We appreciate any time anybody comes spends a little time with us. For those who may not be familiar with your last appearance, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you?
Yes, and thanks again for having me. You can find us on all podcast platforms. We are Forbidden Knowledge News. I am also the founder of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature a bunch of other podcasts on our website. We're available on Rockfin, Rumble, and we cover some of the most weird and fun and fantastic shit on the planet with some of the most amazing guests and most brilliant individuals that I've ever met. So we have a good time there.
So if somebody came to me with like $1 billion, right, and they say you can do anything, you know what I would do? I would start a 24-hour conspiracy news channel. Like done like Fox News, but only focusing on the conspiracy.
That would be great.
Wouldn't it be great?
Would you be one of the hosts?
Yeah, I would be like, and we would have our own Tucker Carlson type, and you know we'd go to Dallas strip bars and find hot strippers who could read teleprompters, and we'd have our own Megyn Kellys and stuff like that, and they would just be like, today in Pizzagate, right? We'd just get deep into that. Like I would love that.
Are we still having a weather segment?
Yeah, but it would be like what DARPA did to us this week.
Geoengineering section.
Yeah, geoengineering section. I'd totally do that. That'd be the
Hell
best.
yeah, man.
So,
That'd be dope.
So we appreciate you coming on again, and like I really love getting. I just had a big episode with Brian Callen on Conspiracy Social Club. Real debate on what happened to these cows. They've had their like tongues and their anuses carved out.
Yeah,
and
man.
I think it's cryptids. That's my opinion, but of course he doesn't want to believe any of that.
What does he think it is?
He thinks some farmers just out there doing precision work with no blood. Precision pulling
you
out
hear farmers
buttholes.
doing that shit all the time, of course.
Can we ask Johnny? Is that possible, Johnny?
It's what possible?
Like, do that in the middle of the woods and
With
make
no
sure
blood.
with no blood and
I
precision
mean, I
cutting.
don't know anything about medicine, but I doubt it.
Johnny, when you were carving up your poor farm animals,
There was a lot of blood. Yeah.
there was a lot of blood. There will be blood. There will be blood.
There was blood. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in the cryptids. Where do you want us? Okay, tell us about your doc that's coming out.
Yeah, man, my doc, it's been a long time in the making, and I finally decide to buckle down and get it done. It's going to be a series. It's going to be an ongoing series covering all the wonderful stuff I cover on my show, from paranormal to spirituality, conspiracies, occult history, hidden history, all that fun stuff. And I took the opportunity to take a trip to Louisiana, where I was born and raised, and figured what better than have my first episode be about the occult Louisiana history, some of the high strangeness that goes on there. And some of the shit that I learned, man, I had no idea. I grew up there and I had no idea how crazy some of the history was and some of the paranormal high strangeness that goes on. Cryptid encounters, ghosts, poltergeists, disembodied voices, UFOs, smoke people, swamp people, lizard people, all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on. And it's really debatable to some that Louisiana may be one of the most haunted states in the United States, but it is. New Orleans is definitely number 3 or 4 on many lists of like the most paranormal or haunted cities in the United States. It's really like a paranormal cage in Disneyland, but it's an awesome place, man. The people there are so humble and laid back, and they can really experience the craziest of shit. And they wouldn't tell anybody about it unless you really engage them in conversation. Nobody down there is really trying to get famous or notoriety for their paranormal encounters. And it's really a great place, man. I was born in a place called Houma. It's a very small town. I lived there until I was 20 years old. I then moved to Florida for 10 years, came back to Louisiana in 2013, and just moved to Colorado recently in 2020. But the area I grew up in was so unique. The culture, the food is amazing. It's about 50 miles west of New Orleans, really deep in the swamps, and only about 90 miles from the coast. And the people down there are amazing. Like the rest of the country does not give the people down there enough credit for how smart and how much common sense they have. They really didn't participate in the COVID nonsense. Masks weren't really a thing. And like I said, people have a lot more common sense and smarts than they're given credit for down there. It is ranked very low in education. It's a very poor state, but the food is incredible. It's a beautiful area. But because of the extremely traumatic and even magical history, the state has some incredible energy surrounding it. And the more south you get, the more into those deep swamps, the more insane that energy gets. And I think it's because of that energy. A lot of people become depressed in that area. They feel trapped. They're stuck. And after living there most of my life, it certainly took its toll on my life. I had to get out of there. I was depressed for most of my life. And it was an amazing place if you want to make a shit ton of money by being away from your family for months at a time on an oil rig. Go for it. I mean, that's great for that. You do make a lot of money, but as far as like nurturing creativity, not so much. And I was a very creative person.
I'm going to be in Baton Rouge. Baton
Rouge, hell yeah, man. That's the capital.
In June, so go grab your tickets there. You can grab all
Have you ever been there before, Sam, to Louisiana?
You know what's so funny? I think I have, and then I can't remember at the same time. It's very weird.
It has an effect sometimes.
I feel like
especially
I've
if you
been
go to
there,
New Orleans during Mardi Gras, you may not remember shit.
I think I've been there, but then maybe I'm like, have I been there? I don't know.
Such a wild place, New Orleans.
But I'm very excited to go. I'm very excited to get out there. And, you know, we were going to do a show during COVID, but they were just, you know, I know you said that Louisiana, I know New Orleans was full of COVID retards. There was a lot, and that gets
New Orleans is like different than the that's like the woke city part.
Yeah.
The rest, nobody gives a shit about that.
Which is very interesting because if you get into cryptids, like the only cryptid I've ever heard of in the big city is the Chicago Mothman, right? Like everybody else, like it's all in country, small cities, stuff like that.
You don't hear about any wild animals though, really, in cities, right? I mean,
like angry squirrels.
Yeah.
That's about it. Pigeons, but you don't really hear of any animals that aren't domesticated, right? But like, I really do believe that the electromagnet fields of just these big cities with all these wires everywhere and these, you know, electrical grids and stuff like that really make it either impossible to see them or turns these cryptids off from being in the big city. And that's why, and I guess you could probably hide a lot easier in smaller cities, right? Like in country cities where it's easier to snag somebody and disappear, or hunt in the woods and nobody sees you and stuff like that. So I do find it very interesting.
Yeah, I mean the cities are built for humans. You know, they are designed around humans, so that makes sense.
Right, but I mean, like these cryptids come around humans. You never see them coming in.
What I mean, all the things here are for the convenience of humans. They're not for that's not where they evolved. Whatever these cryptids are.
Yeah, but I do think that has a lot to do with energy. Like,
I buy that.
If you talk about, we've had guests on the show that have talked about how, like, native elders talk about how they can't astral project anymore because of all the electricity in the air, weird energy. I think it's so. Do you get into simulation theory? Then we'll get into all the occult stuff you want to talk about in Louisiana and stuff like that.
I love simulation theory, and I like to think of it more as just this being an experience for us. These physical bodies are our avatars. We have spiritual essences somewhere else that are trying to lead us to a more spiritual awareness, to an advancement and evolution of our consciousness. And being like a video game, these spiritual essences that are outside of this simulation, maybe they might throw us some sort of strange paranormal activity or unknown experience or spiritual experience to get us going, to get that video game character going in the right direction. And I honestly think that may be the source of a lot of what we understand as paranormal activity is our avatars hitting that A/B+ button and sending us a weird cheat code so that we understand what the hell's going on in our reality. I don't know. I'd like to think about that sometimes.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up is because I was having a conversation on the drive over with my friend Mike Romanelli from the Free Thinkers podcast, Free Thinkers Television, and we were having a conversation because we were going over the last episode 666, and this belief that I have that everything is almost like a intelligence operation. And I wonder how, because he was bringing up, because I guess I didn't catch it when Recluse was talking about how, like, the I am movement, which I'm a big
What's that movement?
subscriber to, which is like the most powerful words in the universe are I am. I am going to do this. I'm like, you put it out to the universe. That I guess Recluse said that the people who started that were like real scumbags, and none of us caught that. Do you think that there's a lot that we're dealing with in the alternative that could be intelligence operations?
Oh, hell yes, dude. I'm having a guest on who is an author. Have you read the book Camilio? Have you heard of this guy?
No.
Okay, so he, I don't have his name in front of me, but he wrote a book called Camilio, and I'm gonna think of his name in a minute, but he's gonna be on my show in a few months, and he wrote this book. It's about this gentleman who was a heroin addict, but he was also the victim of illegal surveillance and government harassment, and they were using the most extreme advanced technology to basically mess with this guy. They were sending in frequencies into his house to make him hallucinate and think there were ghosts there and aliens, projecting images into his mind. And keep in mind, this was in the 90s when they were doing this. They were sending little people like jockey-sized dudes into his house that were wearing these cloaked type of technology that would make them like shimmer like the Predator, where you couldn't see them, and they were knocking shit over in his house, grabbing his ankles, and making him think he was going crazy. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of psyops surrounding paranormal activity that we have no idea what's real and what's not with some of this shit. But when you look at Louisiana, it's kind of hard to think that a lot of that would be possibly black operations because of it's been going on for so long. The history of the paranormal and strangeness in that area is so old and it's so remote. There's some areas that are rarely even explored by humans. But yeah, I'm totally down with that controlled paranormal aspect.
I for sure don't want any jockeys in my house. I'll just say that.
I think that should be like, you should have that on the door. You know how people be
jockeys,
like,
yeah.
no solicitations,
Yeah.
and should be no solicitation. Rule 1, rule 2, no jockeys.
Just a line. If you're not taller than that line, you're
yeah,
not.
you're not. This is like a ride at Disneyland. You gotta be this tall to get in here, unless you're my children.
I think the Men in Black are part of that. I think whenever you see something, the government sends them in to discredit you because you'll start saying, "Oh," and then these black men showed up, and then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Men in Black."
men.
Wow, that was the most racist thing ever said. On
Men in Black.
That's why- and then
the
this
author's
black
name
guy
is Robert
showed up.
Duffy, by the way. He's the gentleman who wrote that book, Camilio. So I just remembered his
Okay,
name.
perfect. So let's get into some occult history of Louisiana. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. A little bit about the high, strange history of Louisiana. There was really a huge influx of French settlers from New Orleans. After the Spanish domination in 1762, the other pioneers were exiled French colonists known as Acadians. They were from Nova Scotia. And in 1541, it was really discovered. Henry de Soto claimed the territory for Spain. In 1682, France took possession, and the ownership would go back and forth from Spain and France until the United States bought the area. It would become the Louisiana Purchase as a part of France in 1803. Now, before Spanish settlers or French settlers or anything like that, we have thousands of years of Native American history there. These are much older civilizations, over tens of thousands of years old, various native tribes that have been occupying that area. Poverty Point was a very popular native community. Poverty Point National Monument. It's in West Carroll Parish. It preserves remains of a network of this native community with extremely impressive engineering and advanced construction skills. They were known as the mound builders. This particular community of natives, primarily the Adena tribe, they reached their zenith over 1,000 years before Rome conquered the Mediterranean. Now, there's an area called the Barataria Preserve with shell middens, and these are impressive, massive stone constructions, possibly decorative, possibly for other purposes. And of course, they were massive and very impressive construction made by these mound builders, as well as the massive mounds that you hear about found across the United States. Purposes of mounds, of course, is still debated. Some say burial, some say ceremonial, and some have even been excavated, like the ones at the LSU campus in Baton Rouge. For some reason, we never really find out what the hell is in these things. It's one of those things that's highly covered up by our government and historical societies, and the level of disrespect by our government towards these mounds is completely disgusting. They usually just build golf courses over these fucking things. So it's insane. And some researchers like L.A. Mazzulli believe that some of these ancient natives may have been giant Nephilim, and their mounds were to bury giants. Now, I don't know.
I do think that's interesting, dude. Like, what are these things? What are they? These mounds? Because they're everywhere. Could they be old? Could they be old pyramids? Mm-hmm. Then you get into like, are all mountains hiding something? That's the weird
man. And then you get to the melted mountains where they could be melted buildings. You uncover a little bit of that mud, and they have like rooms and constructions inside, man. I don't know if there was like a massive like nuclear type of explosion or mud flood that caused this, but there's something being covered up in our ancient history, some that we were extremely advanced throughout our history, and they don't want us to know about it.
This mud flood stuff, like we've seen where, like, especially in Latin America, where they've like basically dug into mountains and found pyramids below them. Like they cleared them off, and there was a pyramid, and you're like, what if we did that to a lot of these mountains? Like, what would we find in there?
So you think it's like, do you think they covered it up?
What I don't think, bro, is plate tectonics. I'm sorry. I don't
There's something much more than that, man.
So you don't think you have to believe in earthquakes?
I believe in earthquakes, yeah, but I don't believe in that, these plates hit each other and form mountains. And
I always want to know how they knocked down a mountain. What was that about?
What do you mean?
Like you said, they kind of pushed over a mountain and there were rooms inside. Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
No, but they cleared out a mountain.
Yeah, when they clear out sections of a mountain
Yeah,
or
like they removed the
dynamite it,
dirt.
they would find construction behind it, like very sophisticated rooms and things like that.
Like,
People
wasn't
been here a long
Göbekli Tepe, like whatever that one is, Göbekli Tepe, wasn't
Yeah,
that
some
like,
down there in Latin America, they had there
They
was
have
a
them all
mountain
over the world.
and then they
They're
cleared
finding
off
those.
all the dirt, and under there was a pyramid. Now, when you drive sometimes on the highway, you'll drive right through a mountain where they cleared it out. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's just a mountain. I don't know, man. But I'm just saying it's just some weird shit. All I know is that the Grand Canyon was not caused by icebergs. Okay, that's all I know. I know that for sure. I know a lot of things. One of the things I know is that icebergs didn't carve up our these great valleys and stuff like that. I don't. So if I'm gonna assume that's fake, which I do believe, why would I believe that plate tectonics is the reason that all this stuff? So
I think a Grand Canyon is a plate tectonic thing, by the way. It's not. So
they found weird like architecture.
No, I mean I believe they say it's a plate tectonic, not even a glacial thing. I think the Grand Canyon is.
No, I think they said I don't know.
No,
dude.
I think they say it's a glacier. I think that's supposedly
The
when
Grand
they
Canyon in the U.S. state of Arizona is a product of tectonic uplift. It has been carved over millions of years. As the
carved by what?
Water.
Tectonic uplift and the Colorado River. I'm just saying that's what they say.
And that water carved it all the way down.
Just the river going and forever and ever.
I
and
mean,
ever.
come on, man.
Yeah, that
Well,
glacier.
there's some that believe that there was like massive plasma strikes from space that carved the Grand Canyon. So
I like
there's
that.
many
I
of
do.
different possibilities for that one.
Let's
I'll
hear
take
about
that over plate tectonic any day. Comet Wars, I'm in.
Yeah, man.
Water did that, Sam.
Yeah, I don't buy that
Water
in any
did
way.
It's been a long time.
I mean, but how long, Johnny? Was that a bazillion years?
Between 5 million and 70 million years old, according to this.
That was
Now-
that river.
That was by water, Johnny.
That was a
okay.
I mean,
Okay, Johnny.
50 million years? What do you know about 50 million years?
What do you know about? I'm 50.
long time.
I know a lot more about than you do. I'm older
crazy.
than you.
It's crazy.
But that is crazy. But anyone who wants to believe that was done by water,
and there's got to be a reason. It's some of the parts
What
are
do you
like
think
sanctioned off.
I think it was carved out.
By whom?
Ancients,
Giants.
For what purpose?
just temples.
You've never been to the sand and just
What
make
kind of
holes.
temple is that?
That's some weird kind of ancient temple for ancient advanced
It's
civilization.
like a giant bathtub for huge people.
It's a lazy river.
But they find like weird kind of structures.
Well, they
in
recently
it.
did find a little temple on the side of one of the mountains in the
Thank
Grand
you.
Canyon. They don't know how old it
makes
was
sense.
yet. They just recently discovered it, which is pretty cool.
I mean, that's if I was wanting to worship nature or something, I would go to the Grand Canyon for sure. People do it now all the time and build a little temple.
And build a
Makes
little
sense.
temple, Johnny.
Yeah, for sure.
What are you building?
I don't. I mean, the
forts?
Grand Canyon to me, there are a lot of things in nature that I think are inexplicable, truly. But the Grand Canyon is not one of those to me. The water erosion, it looks just like how water does, and it's the same. What we see there is the same thing we use to prove a global flood, erosion, and all that stuff, which we all, I think, buy a global flood. So I mean, look at the stratification there. You can see it over the millennia.
Okay. Was that say
Well,
temple, pyramid, temple?
Oh yeah, somebody labeled it. Put labels
Thank
on
you.
it. Oh, cool.
Johnny, if it's on the internet, it's real. Guys, hey, everybody, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at Miracle Made Sheets. That's right. Whether you want to get more fit, be a better parent, or get more done at work, there is one thing that will help, and that's better sleep. With Miracle Made Sheets, you can tap into the power of self-cooling temperature regulation, which has been shown to improve deep sleep quality by over 20%, all right? Self-cooling properties of better deep sleep. Listen, let me tell you about it, okay? Miracle Made Sheets uses silver-infused fabrics, okay, that are thermoregulating, designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night, all right? These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors, okay? Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than other bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels, okay? Stop sleeping on bacteria. Clean sheets means less bacteria to clog your pores and fewer breakouts and other skin problems. So here's what we need you to do. Go to trymiracle.com/tinfoil. That's try, TRYMIRACLE.com/tinfoil to try Miracle Made sheets today. And with Mother's and Father's Day right around the corner, this is the perfect way to give someone you love the gift of better and more luxurious sleep. Save over 40% and be sure to use the promo code TINFOIL at checkout to save even more and get 3 free towels. Miracle is so confident in their product. It's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/tinfoil and use the code TINFOIL to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/tinfoil to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle, for sponsoring this episode. So we got mounds, we got all that stuff. I love mounds. I think mounds are like, I mean, there's something going on, dude, there. Sacrifices.
That for sure, yeah.
Well, it's speculated that some say that during construction of one of these swampy areas in the early 90s, that one of these mounds was uncovered and they found bones of a 10 to 12 foot Native American.
Okay.
So the giant thing is, to me, it's kind of probable that we had giant Native Americans that were existing, and that may be part of the reasons and significance of these mounds.
That's cool.
By the way, he's not in the Grand Canyon. He's in Louisiana now, where you're not going to find.
No, they found it. They have found some there though.
They've found giants in the Grand Canyon.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure they found giants all over. They're just hiding
That's
that
somebody
shit.
who died in a
But
rafting
here's the
trip
whole
in
thing, right?
1970.
So you're telling me that something carved out the Grand Canyon, but nobody found dinosaurs there? There's not one dinosaur in the carve out? Like, that's the whole thing about, like, I mean, like, go anywhere. They're finding these ancient civilizations buried under all this mud.
It says the rocks are throughout the canyon are rich with fossils. All kinds of old, like, ocean fossils and stuff like that.
Yeah, but no dinosaurs.
Let's see. Why are there no dinosaur fossils? The rock that makes up the canyon walls is vastly more ancient than the dinosaurs.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's what they say.
Like, are you telling me, dude, that they didn't find one dinosaur anywhere
here's an
up
explanation.
until the 18-something?
The rock that makes up the canyon walls is older than the dinosaurs, but the canyon itself didn't form until after the dinosaurs.
Okay, like, that's just a lot of fine print.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm totally fine not to believe in dinosaurs if that's where you want to go.
Yeah,
I'll buy that.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe they were dragons. I don't know.
Maybe they didn't. They weren't even a thing. I think that's
I'm totally down with that. The false hidden history, just like we're getting into Louisiana, just some weird ass occult shit going on.
Something else to make us think, to be afraid of global cataclysm. I think that's entirely possible.
Oh, damn, Johnny. The end of the world stuff?
Yeah, I mean, they want us to be afraid of that always, and that's their number one boogeyman is don't let what happened
climate
to
change.
dinosaurs.
Oh, dude, we're all gonna die.
Having the dinosaurs,
The meteor's coming.
It's so funny watching these like woke people who are completely out of shape with like pink hair, all worried about like. The world ending and like COVID and all this stuff. Like, you're so worried about things you can't actually touch or measure, but your health, you've completely let it go by becoming overweight and just unhealthy.
That's so funny.
Right?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Okay, let's get back on track. I'm all over the place. Let's get into some more occult Louisiana. Talk to me
man.
about.
Let's get to some of the darkest aspects to me.
Yeah.
Of course, slavery. Slavery was one of the darkest parts of Louisiana history, and this, I believe, is one of the contributing factors to the massive dark energy surrounding the states.
I respect that.
Slavery was maintained by the Spanish from 1763 to 1800 when the area was part of New Spain, and then by the French when they briefly reacquired the colony in 1800 to 1803, and then by, of course, the great United States following the Louisiana Purchase. Now, if you've ever been to anywhere in the South, you're probably familiar with plantation houses. These creepy ass houses were used for agricultural purposes in Louisiana at first, like rice, indigo, tobacco. By the mid 19th century, the majority of them were growing sugarcane, which is now the cash crop of Louisiana. Plantations were also, unfortunately, used in the slave trade. Now, many of them are known to be extremely haunted today. Poltergeists, apparitions, dark energy, disembodied voices, and even unknown deaths. The Myrtles Plantation, I don't know if you guys have heard of this one, is known as one of the most haunted locations in the United States. I actually spent the night there a few years ago. Unfortunately, nothing really happened, didn't capture anything, but it was a creepy ass place, creepy energy. And at the time, I had just started Forbidden Knowledge News. I didn't go through my spiritual journeys, and I was pretty drunk and stoned, so that may have been a factor why I didn't see anything.
That happens.
But yeah, you know how that goes.
So let me ask you something, man. You know, so I am somebody who believes in hidden history. That's a giant lie. I think the story, a lot of the story of slavery is a lie. I think a lot of the Africans were already here, the Moors.
Yeah, 100%.
What are your thoughts on that? And is there anything in Louisiana that might fit into that narrative?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of that. I know that there is a huge Haitian culture here that the voodoo that we'll get into in a few minutes was a huge mix of a lot of that culture. And there were definitely not only natives here, but there were plenty of other cultures before the settlers came along. And I think you're absolutely right that slavery was a very small part of it, but it was something that had happened. I mean, we have, very reliable historical documents that can tell you about areas of history, but I think you're correct in some aspects that a lot of these people, these indigenous people, were here before, and the history is so convoluted they don't want you to know what really happened. And hell, they're changing our history right now as we speak in front of our eyes, so it's extremely hard to tell what happened 100, 200, much less thousands of years ago. So yeah, I think there is something to that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I you brought up something that really resonates with me, and something I've been really talking about on the show a lot about. When there's trauma to a person affects their energy. Trauma to an area 100% affects its energy to the point where it could almost make that area haunted for sure. And that's my opinion on why what is the word we're going to use? Is ghetto still an acceptable word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think Skid Row could ever be like a place? Do you think there's just bad energy in Skid Row for forever?
Well, what I think could happen is that you could go there, clean it up, and then it will revert right back to that at some point.
Right on. Yeah, I think you're right about that. New Orleans is like that, man. There's always this perpetual kind of darkness, especially when you get into the French Quarter and some of those areas, that it just has this energy that is stuck there. And I think no matter how much gentrification, no matter how much new construction they try to bring in there, there's always going to be this looming dark energy that sucks people back into that dense, dark state,
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before on the show. Like when people in the hood, right? Is that we'll call it the hood? Okay. Yeah. When they get money, what's the first thing they do? Move out. They don't stay there. They move to somewhere
I had to get out of here, man. That's why I had to get out of the state. The dense energy.
Right? I mean, it's just like nobody stays in a shitty area if they can get out. They leave and they go to, I mean, even the people from BLM, did they buy any houses in Compton? No. They bought them in Beverly Hills. They're not stupid. They had enough money to go buy a nice house in a nice area. You know, it's like we think areas have to do with like people, but maybe it also has to do with energies. And like certain people get trapped in these energy vortexes and they can't get out until they figure out the game of life and they beat the game. You got to beat the game. You don't change the game. You beat the game. Great example again, BLM lady, right? Did she stop racism? No, but she figured out a way to game the system to get a ton of cash to move the fuck out.
She got rid of her racism.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's how she stopped racism. She moved somewhere she got so rich she didn't have to deal with racism anymore. The only color man was there is green, and we're talking dollars. Yeah, I mean, Louisiana's haunted, dude. It's just haunted.
To finish up real quick on the plantation aspect, they become tourists and even hotels and hot spots, and I've been on some of these tours. Some of them can be extremely like disrespectful and campy, mostly for show. Half the time the tour guides are like embellishing the story so much, it's so ridiculous, and we wonder why we've lost our history so much. So I don't really appreciate a lot of the tours they have of some of these places, and even the ghost tours in New Orleans can get ridiculous. So it was hard to get an accurate telling of history, especially in my own home state. So you're absolutely right. History is super convoluted, and they don't want us to know where we're coming and going from a lot of these things. But some of the most terrifying accounts from some of the modern plantations have really been the residual ghostly apparitions. And the worst thing is the ghostly apparitions of human beings hanging from the trees on the properties of these plantations.
My God.
Yeah, super creepy shit right there. So, yeah, if you're gonna go to one of those, I like to do protection type of prayers before I go in there. You're gonna feel this dense, dark energy. Many people like pass out at these locations. They can't handle this stuff, so it's pretty crazy, man. And we can get into pirates next if you want.
Would you do that, Sam? Would you do one of those tours? One of those
haunted tours? Yeah, I mean, I'd be scared shitless.
Come on, they have a bed and breakfast.
Or like if they said, "Hey, dude, for $10,000, we'll pay you $10,000 if you stay one night in these haunted places," I'd be so afraid.
No, you pay them.
You pay them.
Yeah, that's how
what
this
talking
works.
about. Yeah,
they don't pay you. You
like
pay
if
for
it
the
was like
privilege.
a paranormal fear factor.
But you pay for the people love that shit, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah,
they have a bed and breakfast.
This is murder podcast listeners. They love that kind of stuff.
Oh, they love to go tours where people get murdered.
Absolutely, they
those
do.
are the same people go to
100%.
Those are the same people who go to comedy clubs and get offended by jokes. Right? It's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. That stuff scares me. I mean, imagine if you went out there, you saw like a lynch ghost. That freaked me the fuck out.
Well, it's better than one running at you. At least he's up there and he's not, just stay there. And
oh, really? That doesn't scare you? I think the Southern man in you came out there, Johnny.
I mean, what? You'd rather one that like a dark entity is moving around? I'd rather have one that's just kind of, he's up there and
I think they're both scary.
Yeah. That one doesn't scare me in particular.
I'm with Johnny. The white's gonna come out of me. It can stay there. It's cool. Don't follow me.
It's just so. What do you think ghosts are, man? Chris?
Dude, like there's so many different possibilities with this. I think there's different types of what we would understand as ghosts. I think there's the stuck residual energy where it's just like a repeating of something traumatic that happened in history that somehow gets on this like simulated repeat type of projection in our reality, and it's always there, and it's always showing us the same things. And I do believe they have the intelligent aspect where there could be consciousness that resides in this spiritual spectrum after we die that we can possibly communicate with. And I believe there's a whole realm of life just beyond the spectrum of our vision that we interact with on a daily basis, don't understand, but can't perceive with our own vision. And that's where possibly what we would understand as the afterlife is. And that's where our deceased relatives go. That's where grandma goes when she dies, is just this realm that's around us at all times, just beyond the spectrum of our vision.
It is crazy. Midnight Mike from Union of the Unwanted thinks there's part that these could also be old programs from the simulation.
I like that idea.
That's cool. Yeah,
that's super interesting, dude.
Like the code never got fully erased?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So it's just kind of in the glitch in the making?
Yeah. So let's get into pirates. Talk to me about pirates.
Yeah, pirates is a fun history there. One pirate in particular was really the focus of a lot of the documented history. Jean Lafitte. Jean Lafitte, he lived from 1780 to 1820. He was a Franco-American leader of pirates and privateers. They captured merchant vessels of various states in the Gulf of Mexico from 1810 to 1820. And Lafitte was extremely opportunistic pirate. He, of course, became an invaluable ally for the United States in different wars. They used him for various different things. And because of his invaluable service during those wars, he was given an official pardon by the United States from his piratey dealings for his useful participation in the ongoing wars. But he was very opportunistic. And of course, he was working both sides. And his good standing really didn't last long. He returned to piracy. And his base was between Galveston, Texas, and Louisiana. He would cause incredible havoc with the Spanish and U.S. shipping vessels, basically did whatever the fuck he wanted. Total anarchy. He was aware that retribution was on its way from Louisiana officials, and it was said that he sailed off to an unknown fate and was never heard of again. And there is a very famous section in the French Quarter called Pirates Alley, has pretty super sinister origins. It's said that it's one block away where, it was just basically a location where the pirates could drink and get debaucherous. There's stories of pirates that would lurk in the shadows and they would just grab and drag away unsuspecting individuals, have their way with them, kill them, do whatever they wanted. It was like, it was pretty insane, that whole area. It's like, you could do it. It was bedlam. You could do whatever you wanted there. That said, Pirates Alley was also across from where a slave market was located. Oh
my God.
And yeah, man, this area was filled with what they would call men of low morals who took place in many things, some of which included gathering, buying, and selling of human beings.
Yeah.
Now, this area is also extremely haunted. People hear voices, see apparitions. Many people, like our saying for the tours, they just faint and they can't take the energy that's surrounding there. And the best part about this area is it's known from many tourists that you can go out there and you can feel the gropey, disembodied hands of horny pirates grabbing asses and boobies in the French Quarter, bro.
Unbelievable,
Yes.
dude.
That's why you pay for it.
By the way, if you're looking for a name of a podcast, Men of Low Morals is probably a great name for a podcast for sure. Hi, welcome to Men of Low Morals. We're going to talk about groping by ghosts. Yeah, I mean, it used to get crazy out there, right?
There is a one called Men of Low Moral Fiber. So
really,
yeah, there is one there.
Is that about guys who just do shady shit or guys who don't get enough fiber in
video games? It's about video games.
Oh, snaps. Shout out to the guys at Low Moral Fiber.
Yeah, shout out Jason Ben and Corrigan.
Shout out, guys. Shout out.
They play classic LucasArts video games. So.
Ooh,
oh,
interesting.
snaps. Gotta get to know that.
Full
Gotta
on
get to
nerds.
know that. Yeah, it's very interesting. Joe Rogan's got a whole bit about how like people get mad at blackface, but they don't care about pirates, right? Like all the shit pirates used to do. Like,
yeah, man.
And it's just like when you get into who were pirates, a lot of Middle Easterns were pirates. They think pirates are coming back because as the U.S. pulls back on basically policing the world, in particular the Navy, the oceans, you're going to see a lot more pirates.
Oh, like the Black China Sea?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
all
that's-
that stuff.
That's where they get all the sharks
Did you
and all
just call
the...
it the Black China Sea?
Black
Oh.
China,
What is it
and
called?
I totally agreed with it.
Yeah, he
The
did.
South China
The Black, yeah, that.
Black China. It's not even her name anymore.
Black China.
I call Stan agree with, yeah, that.
Oh man.
That's why we have Johnny. That's what.
That's a see that's got a really big Instagram account and has the OnlyFans. People just get weird on their waters.
Yeah. That's
Now
what
it's found Christ. Yeah, man, pirates are like. I mean, just think about just living on a boat and just like going out and you have to bring all your like vegetables. Like, how crazy was that? And then you raided somebody else.
not knowing
Yeah,
where
man.
you're
I
gonna
think
go.
that even the history of pirates is pretty convoluted as well. There's a
Oh,
lot of
snap.
disinformation, and I think the aspect of our world governments actually working with pirates in many different aspects was highly prevalent, and the fact that they were criminals and our governments were trying to get rid of the pirates and they were against them. I think that's a more bullshit than anything. I think they were often working together, and if you look at things like the East India Company, it's really the origins of a lot of things that we would understand as secret societies. So
Yeah,
there's those aspects as well.
yeah. I there's also talk that the British royal family hired pirates to do their dirty work,
Yeah, 100%.
and that there is a notion that maybe Columbus was a pirate as well, like a high royal.
I mean, you gotta wonder who gave him those fucking boats.
There's a fine line between what they considered royals and pirates, really.
Right. I mean, like right now, my big YouTube thing is watching cops getting busted for crimes. Because, cops are shady motherfuckers too, right? And they commit crimes too. I'm just watching their interrogations. And you're like, yeah, there's probably a fine line between pirate and Navy, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
which way you playing the game? Which side?
Especially during war. I mean, you saw especially like the Revolution and the Civil War. Privateers and people. I mean, there was a lot of borderline questionable activity for sure.
What laws is there? Is it
Maritime
yeah.
laws.
So whatever the fuck that is, good luck.
Get you your birth certificate back and rule the seas, right?
Well, isn't there something that like a lot of the weird shit that goes on, like especially like Epstein's Island, is because it's under no country's laws?
That's what they say. Yeah, I don't know much about it.
And
That's fascinating.
And like we're 80% water, right? This planet or this plane or whatever
yeah,
we
something
believe
like
it
that,
is.
right? Yeah.
So it totally makes sense that there would be gangs on boats.
71%. Yeah, water.
Just and that's my favorite thing. We're gonna run out of water. You're like, it's 70%
Yeah,
water.
Israel. I mean, all their water now is desalination. They have just the whole series of desalination.
Yeah, and that
plants.
just lets you know like what's going on in this country is that we have water on both borders. I mean, on both coasts.
They just printed up money for Ukraine. They can't print up money when we get thirsty.
Yeah. What? What, they gonna give us fake money to buy Avion? What are you talking about?
75%.
No, because they say it's expensive that it's really expensive to desalinate
Yeah,
the water.
but then
And just
Elon
print
Musk
money.
was just on there saying it's not expensive at all.
75% of their water is from desalination now in Israel.
So it's not.
So it obviously works. I mean,
But
Yeah,
isn't
of
it
course
supposed to
it
be
does.
really expensive though, Johnny?
that's the excuse. But I mean,
That is the excuse, but
They
it's
figured it
not
out.
real.
Yeah,
It's not real. They need to create a market. They need you to buy their bottled water that you should be getting for free. So they got to tell you it's impossible to desalinate, right?
They move you as far as they can from the streams
Yeah.
and the water sources.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Now, I want to get into you about a little voodoo because I'm a big
Yeah, dude.
we've had his co-host on his other podcast. E-Zone is in the voodoo.
Santeria or what is? Yeah, Santeria.
Yeah, that's voodoo.
Is it? I don't know. They get all weird about that.
Really?
Well, what about hoodoo? Voodoo and hoodoo. You know about hoodoo?
The you do?
No, hoodoo's
Hoodoo
a
that you
thing
do?
too. Hoodoo's a thing in like the Low Country of South Carolina. I don't.
What do you mean hoodoo?
It's called hoodoo, man. I don't know. It's like voodoo, but hoodoo.
Yeah, it's a similar practice. Yeah, let's get into voodoo and vampires. I didn't know vampires was such a huge thing either. But voodoo is very prevalent in South Louisiana. It's a religion practice in parts of the Caribbean, southern U.S. It combines element of Roman Catholic ritual with traditional African magic and religious rites, and is characterized by sorcery and spirit possession. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of these voodoo rituals, but the high priestesses usually invoke some sort of spiritual deity and they become possessed by this. And there's all sorts of either benefits, or if you want to curse somebody, there's plenty of things that voodoo has been utilized for. One of the most famous figures for voodoo in Louisiana was Marie Laveau. She lived from 1801 to 1881. She was a Creole voodoo practitioner and very famous historical figure. She was portrayed in movies like American Horror Story, TV series like American Horror Story, books, songs. And her story is pretty incredible. She was born a free African American in the French Quarter of New Orleans. When she turned 18, she was wed to Jacques Paris, a French immigrant who fled from the Haitian Revolution. They had 2 daughters, but only a year after they wed, Jacques died in 1820. Marie was extremely beautiful, highly charismatic, and many men were taken by her exotic allure. Following her husband's death, she entered a domestic partnership with Christophe Dominique Dumais de Glapion, and I hope I pronounced that right. They stayed together until his death in 1855, and this is not entirely confirmed. We're just talking about how convoluted history is. And we have no idea what our true history is, but they may have had up to 15 children. Ooh. And birth certificates were incredibly unreliable back then. And like we said, true history is really only known by those who've experienced it, in my opinion. Marie Laveau was a dedicated practitioner of voodoo, and she was a world-revered authority in herbal healing. People all the way from Washington and as far as the Indies called on her services. What really made her stand out, aside from some folks were deathly afraid of being cursed by her, she had a uncanny ability to unearth secrets. If a politician needed blackmail material on their opponent, and there was a really good chance that she had that skeleton that they were after, presidents, lawyers, congressmen, bankers, and wealthy socialites actually had slush funds tagged as Laveau expenses. And she really knew how to market her brand. She started publicizing through the grapevine of her magical career. She began spreading rumors, some unsubstantiated, that she had a pet snake named Zombie that could snuff out people's secrets. Whoa. And whether there was any truth to any of this, what is really known that she was an ingenious spy master. Over the years, she developed a network of informants. Most of them were servants of prominent white households throughout the region.
Snaps, blackmail.
She catered and pumped the wellspring of inside information into databases that she could later work for opportunities. Wealthy patrons may have had the habit of really talking up off the cuff and exposing private details. And if you know what I mean, in front of the help, the maids, she called them her little birds, her spies. They were paid in money, favors, and even various voodoo rituals or tonics or possibly even assassinations.
Whoa.
Now, she died in 1881 at the age of 79. She died peacefully in her home. The day of her death, the first rumors started making the rounds. People started seeing her ghost around town, her phantoms. God. Indicative of the legend, it became a fixture in the New Orleans zeitgeist. Was she just a saintly patient? Was she a cold-hearted gang boss or product of an oppressed society? I think she's a little bit of all those things. And her grave is now a super popular tourist spot. And you can now go there and visit. And they have different various rituals that people perform to gain favor from Marie Laveau at her grave. So that's one of the most prominent voodoo figures.
That is like just... I mean, we see that today, dude. A lot of that stuff at the highest levels is all dark arts, blackmail warfare. I mean, this is like on a smaller level on Louisiana, which is always known for corrupt politicians.
Yes,
always.
for sure.
I mean, it's just accepted that everyone's just going to do shady shit and they're going to rip you off. And you know what? Everybody's happy with it. It's fine. We all know it's happening. It's better to know that's happening and accept it than sit there and cry about it the whole time.
Now, you guys are going to love this. Vampires, man. And the best of all, you guys have heard of Count Saint Germain, right?
Oh, snaps.
We love
Here we go.
We love
We've
it.
been trying to
So-
get him on
If
the
he's
podcast.
out there, come on the show.
Trying hard.
We're trying to get him on the show.
The vampire history of Louisiana was something I did not know. I knew that Interview with the Vampire was really influenced by, excuse me, a lot of the vampire history in Louisiana. Now they have these vampire clubs where people go to and they, suck each other's blood and they have their fake teeth.
I didn't know
and
what
all
they were
these-
sucking.
Yeah, we were turning
Like,
out dark
what is
alley.
it, giant gay bathhouse?
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know what they're into. But yeah, it's a huge vampire underground culture that they have now. But it's speculated that some of them are involved in really dark occult practices, maybe even human sacrifice, and possibly could be the explanation for a lot of missing people in New Orleans. But the most famous possible vampire of New Orleans is, of course, Count Saint Germain. At one time, he found himself in Germany, where he lived in a castle for a while as a confidant to Prince Hesse, I believe his name. Now, during the time, a strange record of his death appeared. People thought he died. Now, a priest under the king's order wrote the death record, which state he died in 1784, and many people didn't believe this to be true. The death record, of course, is slim, and people continuously claim to have seen him. Rumors came around that he did not die and instead he traveled to the west in order to promote spiritual fulfillment. Some claim that he stopped in New Orleans, Louisiana, around 200 years after the original supposed death of Saint Germain. An immigrant of the south of France named Jacques Saint Germain arrived in New Orleans and moved into a dwelling off Royal Street. Of course, he was knowledgeable, charming. He seemed ageless. And that, of course, made his presence well known. He spoke of events that happened hundreds of years ago in the past with great detail. He threw lavish parties with the finest foods, entertainment, most prestigious guests, never ever ate a bite of food, and no one even questioned his immortality. But not long after he'd taken up residence in New Orleans, things got creepy very quickly. There's one famous tale told by vampire enthusiasts that he invited a woman to his house for a party. After a while, he asked her up to the balcony where he attempted to bite her neck. She freaked out, escaped, jumping off the balcony. The story goes the woman had drips of blood trickling down her neck. People quickly surrounded her, called the police, but when the police arrived to investigate, they found that he was not at the home, but they found clothes from all different time periods stained in blood. There was no food or utensils in the house, and they had bottles of what seemed to be red wine, but were in fact human blood filling the cabinets.
Oh my God.
Yes, man. And then after that, Count Saint Germain never returned to that area. He was never seen again. And like I said, there's so much inspired by the vampire lore in Louisiana, like Interview with the Vampire and many other stories. But yeah, dude, that's pretty crazy. Saint Germain, the most famous vampire of New Orleans.
That is kind of crazy, dude. That is nuts. And I wonder if he's ever going to show up again. Because now we have the internet and there's a permanent record.
Let's hop on Zoom.
And listen, Saint Germain, if you're out there, we'll Zoom you in. You don't have to show up. You can just Zoom in to the show.
Not sure he could even come in, but let's.
I mean, if he was here, he could. Gotcha. Okay, respect, Johnny. Respect. Yeah, I find it very interesting. And by the way, Johnny wants to live forever. I do not.
No.
Well, I mean, I under the right situation, without selling my soul or living in misery for hundreds of years. Yeah, of course I would.
But I mean, like, I'm 50 years old and I have so much in my head. I can barely. There's no room for new stuff.
That's your head.
Yeah, but Johnny, you're not close to 50 though.
I'll be
You
all
don't know.
I'll work it out.
And you'd be okay if you were the only one that lived forever. Me,
The
I
only one?
died. Your girlfriend died.
Oh,
your
yeah,
dog
I like how you
died.
mentioned you first.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
Why did he point to me? Why did he say your dog died?
I
Your
don't
dog
know, I was just
died.
pointing
I would get a
everywhere.
new dog.
Yeah.
You get a new girlfriend, everything. New,
Johnny would
new
love to
co-host.
live forever.
Yeah, of course. Just to see where this is all going. I want to get to the end of the book,
How do you know it's ever going to end?
See how we messed this thing up, finally.
I see how?
Yeah.
We already did it.
See
It's
what
already
happens
messed.
Does the Democratic Party last until the very end? I want to know.
So funny, dude. Johnny, who wants to live forever?
That's a Queen song. Wonderful song. Who wants to live
And
forever?
then he died of AIDS.
Yeah, it's a drag.
Yeah.
Especially in hindsight.
Yeah, in hindsight. So do you want to get into some more ghost stuff, or did we already cover that?
Let's get into, because this is going to take a little bit. We're going to get into cryptids and the swamps of madness, bro.
Can I have a request of little forest people, please?
Wow, did you say something about smoke people?
Yes, dude.
By the way,
that's
a great name for a podcast about smoking weed too. The smoke people.
People. Yeah, we want all that smoke. Let's do it.
We even though we don't smoke the same, we want all that smoke because we're smoke people.
I'm giving you guys bangers right now. Podcast ideas.
Yeah, podcast names.
Yeah.
Smoke people.
Hell yeah, you're welcome. All right, so man, I had another thing I had no idea. Like it's the Skinwalker Ranch of the South down there. There's so many different types of weird monsters and creatures and cryptid creatures that I never heard of. I interviewed quite a few eyewitnesses while I was down there. My main one is a gentleman named Scott Pace. Now, I'm going to send you Scott's information because you've got to get him on the show. He is the most incredible cryptid experiencer I've ever spoken with, and I'm going to tell you about some of his experiences. He took me on a gunpoint-led tour through some of the swamps, showing me Bigfoot footprints and down trees, and it was an incredible little journey. We were in a little pontoon boat going through the swamps. We got out, and I was in these knee-high swamp boots looking for Bigfoot. That was an incredible time. That'll all be in the doc. But Scott Pace is an incredible man. He's just your very simple church-going hunter. Very simple man. He's in his 50s, and before he had experienced any of this, he was just your normal dude. He wanted to go to church, come home, go to work, have dinner with his family, go to bed, and he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. He's just a very good guy. Well, one day he was out in his deer stand, which, if you're familiar with hunting, it's these large stands that you poach up and you wait for a deer to shoot with your rifle and bring home and eat. Well, that's what he was doing. And he's looking through his rifle scope and he sees what he describes as the largest man, hair-covered, dreadlock hair-covered man with black skin that he's ever seen. He said he couldn't exactly tell how tall he was. He had to be over 8 foot tall.
Jesus.
And he said this being was kind of walking towards his immediate area. He panned the rifle scope over to the right, and he sees what only can be described as a werewolf man, a dog man, standing about 10 feet away from the Bigfoot man. Then he hears in his voice communication, like this psychic communication, somebody speaking in his mind. He calls it mind speak. He believes it was the dog man. The dog man said, "You better put that gun down or I'm going to come up there and tear you apart." Damn. He said this in his mind. In his mind, he's hearing this. And he also hears from the Bigfoot, "Don't do that. He doesn't have his finger on the trigger. He's not here to hurt us." Well, apparently he's freaking out. Scott is freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. This is his first time experiencing anything like this. So he tries to speak with his mind to these beings. He's like, no, I'm not going to hurt you. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to get out of here. And the Bigfoot was like, yeah, maybe you should leave. He gets so terrified. He runs down the deer stand and hauls ass out of there. He says when he looks back, he sees about 2 or 3 other creatures following him out of the area to make sure he leaves.
He stumbled on some kind
a couple
meeting or
of
something,
dogmen, a couple of Bigfoot.
Oh,
So
now they're
apparently-
running in gangs, bro?
Dude, they're running in gangs down there, bro. That's not even like some of the close to the craziest shit. After he had this experience, it opened up like a whole new realm to him. He started having all kinds of crazy paranormal encounters and experiences. He'd have invisible people walking through his house. He would
hold on. How does
constantly
he know if they're walking around?
because he'd
invisible?
hear
Just
footprints. He would see the indentation of feet on his carpet. He would feel the presence. He would smell things. He would smell what he calls the Bigfoot smell.
Oh, I've
He
heard
believes
about
that these
that smell.
beings were making themselves invisible and going into his house at times. They were peering in his windows. He would actually see the Bigfoots on his property walking around the distance. He would also see what he calls the predator shimmer, where it's like you can see this being walking, you can see the outline of something, but it's shimmery, it's like invisible. It's like these things can take over your perception and make you see something that's not there, or they have the ability to cloak themselves in a way. So all this stuff started happening. He started constantly seeing these creatures around, and not only Bigfoots and dogmen creatures, he started seeing what he calls little forest people. These things are the creepiest things I've ever heard described.
As long as they're not jockeys.
He said they're about 4 or 5 foot little people that are covered in black hair. They have black
Tree
skin.
midgets.
He said they have kaleidoscope eyes that spin around in the dark when you see
Wait,
them.
like the Beatles? Like Lucy?
No, they like look like kaleidoscopes, and they're spinning around, and they are creepy as hell, and they're different colors. And he said that they can even change colors depending on their moods. When you go outside in some of these swampy wooded areas, you'll see the eye shine, and they look so nefarious and creepy. They're spinning. It's like they're spinning in circles, and they're changing colors. And he's seen these little people come out of the ground. At one point, he was with a few of his. He has a friend that's a native tribal leader, and this guy has supposedly formed a relationship with some of these forest people, and they psychically communicate on a regular basis. Well, Scott, being the church-going religious man, he would often go out to the swamps and the forests and quote his Bible to these creatures. And he said that he'd often get psychic responses, and they would enjoy him engaging him in like Bible studies, and he'd often sing Bible hymns. Well, this one time he was out and he noticed there was a massive Bigfoot creature across a meadow from him, and it started communicating, asking him to sing for it. He started to sing a Bible hymn for it, and all of a sudden these little people creature started coming out of the ground on the sides of the Bigfoot, like dancing like you were charming snakes, dancing to the hymn he was singing. The Bigfoot's like giving him approval in his mind, like, yes, I like this song. This is good. These little forest people are dancing to the fucking music. And this is just, some of the experiences that this dude has started to have. He's had everything from Bigfoot's reaching in his car, trying to grab his cell phone while it was in his hand. He says he's heard accounts. He hasn't seen them himself. He's heard accounts of lizard people that
snaps.
slither
Here we
around
go.
in the swamps.
Here we go.
What's this fella's name again?
Scott Pace. I will get you in touch with him for sure. Yes, dude,
wild.
he has had the most incredible encounters. He said that these little people can turn into mist and smoke at will. And they can dissipate into mist and smoke away somewhere and then form into this humanoid figure somewhere else.
That's XG's dream.
Dude,
That's
now,
all he wants to do.
you've had Tony Merkel on before, right?
Many times. Big fan.
So Yeah, I've had Tony on to discuss this very thing a few weeks ago, and he's had quite a few witnesses in the Louisiana area that have experienced similar things to this. And he said, I'm sure he's told you the insane story about the guy who goes on these like astral and out of body journeys.
Yes.
And meets with like demons and stuff,
Like,
and
in the caves, right? Like
in the
caverns.
cage, yeah, okay. So he said supposedly this guy has also met lycanthropes or werewolves, and these werewolves have explained to him that Bigfoots and lycanthropes are these dogmen, which are also known as rougarou in Louisiana. That's the name for them down there. They're all a form of shapeshifters. They're all a form of lycanthropes that can shapeshift from humanoid to different animalistic type of entities at given will, which I find very interesting. That would explain why they're hanging out in packs, and also why Scott has claimed to see Bigfoot creatures that kind of resemble dogmen. They'll have the elongated snouts, but they're like the rest of the body's like a Bigfoot, or vice versa. Some of these dogmen will have Bigfoot-like features, and he often says it seems like the dogmen are very subservient to the Bigfoots. Like they will do whatever they say, like the Bigfoot is telling them what to do.
Almost like they're his dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like literally dogs for Bigfoot.
100%. And that was just the beginning. After a few months, this dude started to have extraterrestrial encounters.
Oh my God.
He started to see UFOs. He started to see lights in the swamps. He started to have missing time. He started to have these missing time experiences, but when he'd wake up in the morning, he'd have memories of being escorted through catacombs and caves with gray extraterrestrials, mantis beings, and Bigfoot beings all together, bringing him to areas and like teaching him these strange fighting skills in these kind of dreamlike states that these extraterrestrials would start taking him in. And the most incredible experience he told me about was he was out in his truck and he had a couple of other witnesses with him. And they were actually waiting for something weird to happen. They had a feeling something was going to go down. And all of a sudden, a beam shot down from the sky, and these translucent light beings, 7-foot tall light beings, stepped out of the beam like a portal, walked right in front of his truck and down a hill, and just didn't even pay attention, like they weren't there, and they just kept walking until they were out of view. This dude sees things like this all the time now.
I find this extraordinary.
Do you think it's because he opened a portal? Like, you think
I think he's just like, yeah, they're like, this guy's cool. It reminds me of the sketch I saw
like him, yeah.
on an old episode of Not Necessarily the News on HBO. And it was a story of how they did it was a funny sketch because they had a statistic that like every 5 seconds somebody got mugged in New York City, but they made it one guy, and the one guy was getting interviewed, and he was constantly getting mugged every 2 seconds, right? That reminds me that this guy is open something that he gets to see all of this stuff, and we never get to see any of it, and I want to see some of it, but I don't want to see all of it, because then I got to see all of it all the time.
It's like having your family in town for the holidays, you know. It's just like always something. You know?
Always
like,
something,
God.
bro. Bigfoots, dog
Bigfoot
man.
wants me to sing again. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, one of the creepiest stories I've heard recently, it's not of a Bigfoot or a dog. It may have been a Bigfoot. I don't know. But these fishermen, after the most recent Hurricane Ida demolished a lot of the swamplands, there were some new channels that had opened up in some of these extremely remote areas, and they were going back to explore. They claim to have seen, peeking behind what could be 15 to 20 foot tall tree, a giant man, not like a Bigfoot hairy man, just a giant 15 or foot taller man peeking out from behind the trees. So that kind of gives credence to the giants or Nephilim theory, that maybe in some of these extremely deep remote areas, they may still have these huge giants living.
Yeah, I totally think there's some. I mean, deeper you go, the weirder the shit you see. Yeah. And this gets in again to energies. Like there's too much electricity here that these things don't show up here. And like the UFOs and all the anal probings, that happens where there's not a lot of people because it's easier to slip in and out.
Yes.
You think Bigfoot's interdimensional?
Oh, 100%. Without a
Yes,
doubt.
dude. I mean, apparently he's got a relationship with ETs and extraterrestrials, and he's like working with them and shit for some reason. I think that all these creatures, all these beings reside in like this spiritual realm or this otherworldly interdimensional realm that we can't perceive. Even it may even be connected to the afterlife. Maybe when we die, we'll be hanging out with Bigfoot and aliens.
Yeah. Maybe, dude. I mean, who knows? I mean, we could be just avatars. We could be, I mean, the world is way more interesting than they ever want us to know. How much more exciting is this if this was the news instead of what you watched?
Oh, this would be great.
Right? How much better would that be? We're on site with a Bigfoot sighting. We're talking to locals who saw some weird shit. Instead of hearing about shootings.
Yeah, dude, that's the best part is the collaborating stories from locals. You don't know how many dozens of people I talk to who just don't go out and talk about this on a normal everyday basis because they don't want to be seen as crazy. They just want to live their lives. But they've experienced the most insane shit that you wouldn't believe. It's like they lived a Star Wars episode or some kind of crazy horror movie about the swamp creatures, you know? So this stuff, I 100% believe all this stuff is out there just beyond what we can perceive all times, at all times. And I think that if we're open to it, like our friend Scott that I was just mentioning, somehow he got his perception blown open to it, and now they feel comfortable to always come around him. And I know many people like this. You've had Lindsay Sharman on before. She's one of those
she's
people.
The best.
Yeah.
She's the best. Yeah, and she's definitely opened some weird-ass portals. She gets downloads on her books all the time, for sure. And she also did a lot of tweak back in the day. So I found that people who tweak a lot see cryptids.
Well, that's the one thing. He's never done drugs. He's not a drinker. He doesn't drink. I don't even think he drinks at all. He's a church going, good old boy that likes to hunt and fish.
Just a good old boy.
That's right.
Seeing dogmen all the time.
What cryptid have you seen?
Well, I've seen some big chicks. That's about it.
What's that?
I've seen some big chicks.
You think he would have told us by now if he had seen a cryptid?
If I'd seen some weird shit, yeah, for sure, bro. I mean, I've seen like weird UFO stuff.
You did see what? What disappeared in a hat that time? What was that?
Johnny, stop mocking my experiences, okay?
What?
But I have seen, I've experienced paranormal.
So I did some magic for him when he was a kid, and he remembers it as some shit disappearing.
Johnny doesn't believe in magic.
Well, that just sounds like a magic. Somebody takes a hat and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna make this disappear."
It disappeared, Johnny.
Yeah, it's a magic trick.
It disappeared. That's all I know. Is it disappeared?
So funny.
You can mock me all you want.
I would love to. Would you like to see that though? Like a cryptid? I would love to see a cryptid.
Johnny, you really want to see a cryptid, dude?
Just one.
I do not want to see a cryptid.
At a safe distance.
All right,
I'm telling you, dude, all you have to do is get a tent and spend one night in the swamps, in the deepest, darkest area of some of these swamps.
Yeah,
you're going to see something. You're going to be freaked out. Many people can't even stay the whole night out there.
I want to be at the Hilton and just look out the window and see a cryptid. That's what I want to have.
Off the grid, decide to go on a 9-day vacation. He's going, I'm going to this area of California where they say Bigfoot is, and I'm going alone. I go, why are you doing that?
Dude, you're going to get deleted from the program. Man.
Yeah, 100%.
Do not do that.
You're going to get deleted, bro.
That's another thing, dude. Missing 411 shit is huge in that area. You don't hear a lot of stories. Yes. Hunters and fishermen and people that go exploring out in those swamps, many are never, ever seen again.
Because there's some dense energy around there, right? Some dense
people
energy.
don't know, man. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, they just got eaten by a gator. They weren't troubles. They didn't know what they were doing, so they got eaten by a gator or eaten by a bear or something like that. But oftentimes people there's no trace of them. They just go missing completely. There's no blood. There's no, body parts. And we even have the cases where people will show up a few days later, miles from the location that they went missing, and they don't know what the hell happened to them. And they'll be naked in the middle of the swamp somewhere.
I mean, could there be anywhere worse to be found naked? Is in a swamp?
That's number one worst part.
Number one.
Yeah.
Especially if they got lizard people slithering around there, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
dude. Like, it's so weird. Like, everybody wants to live off the grid. It's like, I just want a nice combo. You know, I want where the government leaves me alone, but I
right
get
at
some
the edge of the grid.
Yeah, I just want to be right on the edge of the grid, where I can tip my toe on both sides if I want
Still
to.
want to be able to get Uber Eats delivery.
Yeah,
but
for sure. I want to eat at a nice restaurant and have something to do on a Friday.
It's so funny when I go home, I just open that Uber Eats app and it's just like, fuck you. No, there's literally nobody will deliver.
Yeah, nobody's open anymore.
There's no
too.
Uber. There's no even Uber.
I live in the Valley, dude. Everything closes at 9. Like, what happened to LA?
No, even then, if shit's open, they don't have anything. Go to Best Buy and ask them for whatever you need. No, but you can get it online. I'm here for a reason. I know I can get it online. Trust me, I know I can get it online.
So I signed up. So I had to check in because I'm going to Reno this whole weekend. If you want to see me live, go to samtripoli.com. All my dates are there. We got Reno. We got Mississippi coming up. We got Jacksonville, Mississippi, Baton Rouge.
Jackson, you're going to Jackson, Mississippi. That's a nice little town.
And then I'm going to San Diego after that, and then I'm figuring out what I'm going to shoot my special. I'll let you all know. But
a lot of history in
samtripoli.com. Just go Reno this weekend. So I'm checking in to my Delta, and it's a pain in the ass. And I'm telling you, this is them trying to get people to stop flying. I'm telling you right now, because this thing came out from either the UN, the WEF, which is like by 2050, they don't want anyone flying anymore.
Is that what the new real IDs is for? You gotta go to DMV to get a new real ID that doesn't really tell you nothing much more than the fucking
it's
ID
just
tells
stupid. I don't even know. It's chaos, dude. But yeah, I mean that's everything.
I think that could be part of what pandemics are about too, is to keep people from moving around. They don't want you. They just want you locked down. I mean, our country's
15-minute cities.
Yeah, I think that's a big
Dude,
part.
I'm telling you, this strike that's going on in the writer's strike, there's something about it that's very ominous.
What do you mean? Like what?
Like I think this is going to be the streaming sites trying to completely restructure how Hollywood operates. There's just part of me that thinks
Well, that's
that.
fascinating because, you know, that movie Air that just came out, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon started a production company where everybody on the production owns a piece and the stars don't get paid as much up front. Their guarantees are way lower, but everybody gets points. Like so that movie, which was successful, the makeup person was like the highest.
What do you mean it was successful?
I mean, it did well in theaters and it got distribution, you know, it got money behind it.
All right.
People paid, you know, for the rights to release it. And streaming, etc. And so, like, the makeup person on that movie was like the highest paid makeup person. That could be the future of it, you know.
Should be interesting, dude. If the movie does well, if it doesn't do well,
if
then
it doesn't,
and then you're holding off pay for a long time too, right? I mean, you get a base, right?
Yeah,
you probably get a base.
You can still get a guarantee, but it's just the guarantees, especially for the stars, are way smaller.
The Rock's on the same boat. He has his own production that writes his own scripts, and then they just give it to Paramount, and Paramount picks it up, and that's why he produces so many movies, because they just make their own scripts for him to be a superhero.
That's what happens when you're The Rock, right?
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Well, guys, great episode, Chris. Thank you so much.
Big time.
We had a great time. I love it. I'm going to Louisiana, so I'm very excited about that.
Hit some swamps while you're down there, man. Get yourself some Bigfoot love.
I don't know about that.
Come on, let's get a vlog. Do a little vlog.
I'm not vlogging in the swamp.
Oh, dude, I would
Hey, them
love to
Bigfoot
shoot you
ladies
in a
need
swamp.
love too, bro.
Dude, I think you're
Love
missing
to
out.
take you down there and just video it, man.
Just vlog it, dude.
Oh, I'm not against
See an
it.
alligator? I could see you feeding an alligator.
That
real
would be
quick.
so good, dude.
Yeah.
You should really do that.
I should not really do that. I should not. Anyways, Chris, one more time, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Our website is forbiddenknowledge.news. If you want to help support the production of the Forbidden documentary, you can go to supportfkn.com. And we're on Rockfin, Rumble, and all podcast platforms.
Okay. All right. So thank you for coming in. Guys, again, go to samtripoli.com. Grab your tickets now for all of your ticketing needs. I'm doing live. I'm putting stuff together. I'm focusing on getting on the road more. Daddy's feeling alive, dude. I feel alive. Check out my Instagram. I've been dropping hot fire on there, and they are shadow banning me into the realms. Go to Instagram.com/Sam Tripoli. Follow me because I'm putting hot fire out there, dog. I find anybody banging like Tripoli. It doesn't exist. Guys, anything else you want to save? Anything else?
Just stay tuned for a little clip from Broken Sam, and the new Broken Sam will be out tomorrow or Friday. Sorry.
We Don't Smoke the Same got banned again from Twitch, so you can only get it on Apple Podcast, Rockfin, and Patreon. So head over to Rockfin, Patreon.
You guys
Apple.
are just.
We're taking right after
Twitch?
you.
Do you go live on Twitch?
Yeah, that's why they took us off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What was it? Was the drug content? What was
Yeah,
it?
definitely drug content. Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah, you guys got to learn to work smart. Here we go. So,
Wait,
guys.
it's called We Don't Smoke the Same. How are they not going to?
Yeah, that's
How are
true.
they not gonna do
Well,
drugs?
guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy these clips and hope to see you in Reno tomorrow night.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
Look at how quickly they wanted to get rid of Tucker Carlson. And he gets, what, a third of the ratings that Joe Rogan gets?
Oh, yeah. And he's the number one by far in that whole
And by
range
the
of
way,
time
everybody, I'm not, listen, dude, listen to me. I think Eddie Bravo uses his face to open up his phone, by the way. So I it's like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, they got your face.
It's
They
just
got
like
your
this
face.
whole, and I'm not condoning it. I don't like it. I mean, what happened with this TikTok bill? Is it dead?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny how those things
What
always
happened,
pop
what
up.
happened to Donald Trump? Like, these are things that make
never
me
hear
think
about
these are just loose jackings. The TikTok bill, what happened with that? What happened to Donald Trump's trial? Is he still on trial? Like, what happened with that?
That's how they get you, dude. They just
Loose
enough
jacking.
for one day of jerking you around, and then it's over.
Okay.
Don't you agree?
I do agree.
Did you see Tucker Carlson responded today?
And like the number that he got on Twitter was like 9 million views.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Here's a quick little, because I think this is
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also. A lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are.
Yes.
They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope.
So that seems to be him teasing that he might be headed to what, alternate media maybe?
So there's a rumor that he's still on contract for a lot of money. Like, he was making a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like million something a month.
So like a non-compete situation where he can't go anywhere?
Technically, he's still on contract, so he may not be able to go anywhere. But he hired a lawyer that will get him out of everything, I believe. And where he goes, I don't know. I mean, like, putting it out, like the video on Twitter. Now, is this YouTube? Yeah.
Yeah,
so we'll see
it's
what
the New
happens.
York Post took it from his Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, the video on Twitter is huge numbers. Now, Twitter just signed Matt Walsh.
Twitter did.
Yeah, Twitter. He's going to be posting content, most of his content, on Twitter. So this is the move to make it a place where you can do all of it, which is whatever you want to say. Now, I know I don't think Elon Musk is perfect. I think there's still censorship going on, but I feel that there is some stuff I'm not condoning the censorship, but I go, this guy has to dance a little dance to be able to do what he wants to do. It's just the way it is.
And he's also a businessman who's recognized the opportunity of appealing.
I make no illusions that he's saving anybody.
No, but he wants to make money, and nobody is appealing to what we are right now, like independent content makers.
Well, there are now. Rumble is, Rockfin
but not
has.
at his level though, not like that billionaire level.
Yeah.
Mogul.
Well, the Rumble guys are. That's the thing about Rumble. When you go really deep, they have some interesting people, but but what they're doing is very smart. Okay, because they look at like what blew up YouTube back in the day, and that was outlaw shit. But they're also smart because they don't want it just to be conservative, right-wing conspiracy stuff. And this is why I like Odyssey as well. Odyssey, if you go to odyssey.com.
Great website.
It's a gorgeous website. It should be way bigger than it is.
Yeah.
They have everything on there. So you can get your conspiratorial stuff, but you can also watch twerking videos, cat videos, the stuff, the in-between stuff that the average person enjoys watching.
It's so hard to get people to change their browsing habits to go.
It's really hard. Once you're the established brand, like, do you know that, like, what is the biggest MMA organization in the world?
What do you, UFC?
No.
What do you,
it's ONE FC.
I don't even know what that is. That the Asian
That's
thing?
the Asian one.
Yeah, okay.
It's much bigger. But people in the United States, we will love the UFC. The UFC is the brand of excellence. Once you establish as the brand of excellence, it's almost impossible to steal that without a, controlled demolition.
Which is why what Elon did in buying Twitter is potentially so smart, is because that's a place people already are.
It's already established brand.
Yeah.
And all these people are running off. They're going to realize where they're going to go. And here's a quick sneak peek of Conspiracy Social Club. Enjoy.
You cut around the membrane. All right. So as somebody who knows a lot about this.
Okay, Brian, but tell me about cutting the tongue that is full of blood and why there's no blood anywhere.
It's not necessarily full of blood, and the blood is way back in the throat, probably goes down the throat. Second of all, where was this? And when it comes to birds of prey, they come out
Brian,
in the
morning.
morning.
Are you getting tired of holding your eyes open?
They come out in the morning. He probably found these things at 5 a.m. before the carrion come down to feast. So it doesn't hold water.
Brian, I love that you tend to do this all the time. You answer conspiracies with conspiracies.
What do you mean?
That's the most amazing thing.
What do you mean?
You're like, the Earth axis was probably off a degree and the sun was just the rays of the sun.
Well, there are a lot of birds of prey in Utah, but they don't come out till later on.
This has been investigated in specifically Texas and the Four Corners for some time. I mean, since the 1970s, they've got over 200 cases of these kind of odd
wolf-like creatures 3 times the size of a normal wolf that was impervious to rival humanoid creatures facing yellow eyes, spine from a tree. This is what happens when you do this many mushrooms. What you're forgetting is that there is a lot of psychedelics being used in that area. And
by who? The cows?
A bad trip is sometimes you might shoot a cow and remove his anus and
on mushrooms, tongue. Brian. Take me through that surgery.
When you mix a lot of different psychedelics, it can happen.
I love it, Brian.
All right,
Brian. You Brian, you literally are so anti-conspiracy. You come up with an even crazier theory than cryptids.
Do you think that what is
people
cryptids? I don't know what cryptids
committed precision surgery on cows' assholes. Is that what you're saying?
Could be some kind of a
That is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard.
What is a cryptid?
We have done 230 episodes, and I can say that's the funniest things ever said on this podcast.
What is a cryptid?
Cryptids are animals that cryptozoologists believe may exist somewhere in the wild but are not recognized.
Zoologists don't. Hold on. Zoologists don't. I need you to rephrase that. Not zoologists,
No,
because zoologists tend to be scientists who are responsible to measurable evidence. Now, what we have here is somebody who loves fiction, and he is going to come up with all kinds of space alien, chicken snake god people who kill 6 cows in Utah. We don't even know if this story is actually true, by the way. I don't even know if this story is true. I don't even accept that 6 cows had their tongues and anuses removed. I said it out loud. I don't even think it's true. Next story, I'm calling BS.
Why are you? Then you're calling Dylan a shitty researcher.
Yes, I am.
Whoa!
Well,
shots fired.
Cryptids includes the Ninjin.
The Ninjin?
Yeah, are you familiar with the Ninjin?
Well, I haven't seen a Marvel movie in a while.
So you don't believe in Bigfoot?
I sure don't.
Now
that's interesting.
This is the Ninjin.
Well, you know what? Looks like about the most harmless creature I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, well,
if I
it's
saw
not.
that thing, I would Muay Thai knee that thing under the chin, and he'd go to sleep. All right? Because all you have to do with a Ninjin is Muay Thai knee that fucker under his chin. Say like that.
Brian, he's interdimensional.
He's
He's
you see that? My
interdimensional,
hips up.
Brian.
Oi!
Brian, he's
He'd be like this.
interdimensional.
He's got no arms. He'd just go.
He's
boom.
interdimensional.
Well, he'd be
Brian,
taking a
your
Muay Thai
knees
knee.
can affect guys from different dimensions.
He'd be taking that knee right to your old chinny chin poo poo, and he'd chip some teeth and go to sleep.
John,
And then
you know how fast that guy with no arms is.
I do because he can't move his arms.
How do
I
you
would
know? He's from a different
surgically
dimension.
remove his
They move
entrails.
at different speeds.
No, that's that baby. That's a person
That's not
who
a
didn't.
baby. That's a full-grown
Ninjin.
That is a person who.
His name is Ninjin,
No,
bro.
that's
You
a
think
person.
Ninja slow, bro.
No, that's a human being raised in a Romanian.
Precision.
What
That's what that guy is.
You just showed me a person raised in a Romanian orphanage who didn't have access to iodine or good nutrition.
All right, guys, real quick before we're done, we want to tell you about all of our affiliates. It's a great way to support the show. As you know, fiat money is chaos. Okay, fractional reserve banking, dangerous. The best way to get out of it is precious metals, in particular, silver and gold, and that's why we're working at Wise Wolf, okay? Wise Wolf, silver and gold. Just go to samtripoli.com or samtripoli.gold, and you could join, and he's hooking you up. They got great that you can either buy single time or you can sign up for their program where you can buy up to $500 a month. I'm doing it. I hope you can too. We also have everybody at Eagle Research. That's right. Eagle Research, AquaCure Mobile Model AC50 brown gas, hydrogen brown gas. The guy who makes it says it's secure. People are using it. Check it out. Just go there, use the promo code tinfoil hat, 3 words, and get a discount. Go back to the main page, Sam Tripoli. You will get, you get a discount with the promo code tinfoil. And then our good friends over at Haley Ray CrystalShop.com. Go to the promo code is Swarm 15. Get 15% off all your crystals, all your quartz, all you name it. What do we got here? Look at all this stuff. All this stuff. All the best. You can do it right there. It's all part of the best crystal shop on the internet. Jewels, bracelets, clusters, you name it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Candles, you name it. You got it. Swarm 15. Thank you for supporting the show. We love you. And thank you so much for your support.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hack.